All right, thank you everybody for joining us. I'll go ahead and get started. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Good, good, because I sometimes have a little trouble with Zoom. We're still more Teams folks over at the city. Okay, so we have a little bit of a lighter agenda today, but we wanted to make sure we had a meeting. It's been a little while, and I wanted to introduce Charming again. I'm not sure if everybody has met her, so I wanted to make sure everyone met her again. So we'll get to that in a second. And this next item, number 3. And then Charming, I forgot to put, I know I put you on as the item for this, for the water blessing and acknowledgement. I know the last meeting we had a really great conversation and discussion with some tribal members about land acknowledgements and how I know there's some questions from some other work groups and the council about, making sure we're being respectful with them. So instead of sort of writing a new one, Charming and I were discussing it, and she has this beautiful water blessing, water acknowledgement that she uses. So we thought we would go with that. I am so sorry, I forgot to have it up on the screen, so I don't have it up. So I'll just.
It's okay. I have it. It's actually pinned to my browser, so it's easy for me to
wonderful. Wonderful.
So do you want to do introductions with everyone else first, and then
sure.
I'll do the water blessing?
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, let's do introductions since we have a small group here today. And if you all wouldn't mind putting your names and your affiliations in the chat so that later on we can get that for the notes. Appreciate that. Okay, so I'm Vicki Calkert. I'm apologizing again for my camera on. My camera is not working from my home, my work, and I am at home today, so I can't use my separate camera. So I'm so sorry about that. I am one of the co-chairs. I am a stormwater compliance manager at the city of San Diego, and I'm going to pass it off to Charmy, our other co-chair.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Charming Evelyn. Yes, my last name is pronounced phonetically or the British way because it's easier for me to say that. I am the chair of the Water Committee for Sierra Club, California, and the Angeles chapter, which covers LA and Orange County. I am a volunteer of Sierra Club. My day job is with a company called Ocean Well Water, and I'm happy to co-chair with Vicky at the moment. And I will popcorn to Chris.
I'm Chris Taniguchi-Kwan. I lead the Eco-Hydrology Research Program at Southern California Coastal Water Research Project, SCORP. I'm also the incoming chair of the California Environmental Flows Work Group through the Water Quality Monitoring Council. I'll pass it to Anna.
Thanks, Chris. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna Holder. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm wearing a couple of different hats today. I am the Open Data Science Equity and Tribal Coordinator for the Office of Information Management and Analysis at the State Water Resources Control Board, which is where the director of the California Water Quality Monitoring Council sits from the org chart perspective. But I'm also the chair of the council's safety work group. Happy to be here. And I will pass to Tim.
Hi, good morning. I'm Tim Pires with SFPUC with the Stormwater Compliance Program. I also sit with our agency's equity work group. And yeah, my first time here. And I'll pass it on, I think, to Jasmine.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine Ramirez. I am a newcomer here to this meeting, hoping to learn more about the work that you're engaged in. I apologize for not being on camera. I'm having some technical difficulties with my laptop this morning, so I'm joining by phone. I am a senior community development specialist with Self-Help Enterprises, which is a nonprofit here in the San Joaquin Valley. And in my role, I am the lead for our organization tracking the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act and working to include community voices, community needs, community experiences into groundwater sustainability plans that are being developed and being implemented here across the San Joaquin Valley. So I'm excited to learn more about the work that you're engaging in. And I can pass it off to, I think I might have been the last one.
I think
Awesome.
Nicholas.
Okay, Nicholas.
Good morning. My name is Nicholas Flores. I'm with the State Water Board and the Office of Sustainable Groundwater Management, where I'm an analyst and I sit on the Racial Equity Committee, and it's happy to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for all the introductions. I'm so excited everybody's here. All right, Charming, pass it back to you.
Thanks. And so I as well welcome to the newcomers. If this is the first time you're here, we love newcomers. That means we're still functioning if we have new people. So I will go I will go right into the water acknowledgement. It is a Native American Haudenosaunee water acknowledgement taken from Braiding Sweetgrass. If you've never read the book, I would say to you, read one of her books. Great books, all of them. We give thanks to all the waters of the world. We are grateful that the waters are still here and doing their duty sustaining life on Mother Earth. Water is life, quenching our thirst and providing us with strength, making the plants grow and sustaining us all. Let us gather our minds together, and with one mind, we send greetings and our thanks to the waters.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. I think it's great. If anybody has any thoughts about, using something different in the future, but I think it's just beautiful. I can actually add it to the Google Drive. I'll make a file for it so everyone can see it next time and use it themselves if they would like at their meetings. I think it's a little, I don't know, more powerful than the land acknowledgement. And as we said, it's a little tough, especially with a statewide group like there's just so many different tribes. The one we were using was one from local San Diego tribes, and that's not necessarily, like accurate or applicable to everyone. So anyways, I think it's great. I hope everyone likes it. And, if you have any thoughts about it, let us know. But I saw a couple of hearts, so that's good. That's how I feel about it. Awesome. Okay, so the next item is obviously Charming is our newest co-chair. I think I've been doing this for a while now, back to like 2020 or 2021 maybe. And we put out a call for some other co-chairs. The former co-chair Brian, he couldn't stay on any longer. And after reviewing the charter to see what it says about how long we're supposed to be, I guess I'm supposed to have a 2-year appointment. So I think I'm outdone my welcome here. I want to put it that way, but overstayed my welcome. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, so we are looking for another co-chair. So if anybody is interested, please let us know. And I think we'll put out another call via the email list. I did get one person reach out and say that they were interested. So we do have at least one person. And I'll get to this in a moment when I get to the charter update, but there really isn't like a huge, isn't a lot in there about a process about how to choose one. It's really just, they have to be elected by the rest of the group. So I want to talk about that when we get to the charter update, if anybody has any ideas. Last time we had quite a few candidates. I was very excited about it, and Charming was one of them. And anyway, we just sort of came up with a couple of criteria, and I interviewed people and then brought them to the group here to be voted on. But if there's some other ideas, or if folks from some of the other work groups are here and they have ideas about how they choose co-chairs, let me know. I just want to make sure it's a fair process, and if there's any anyone has any ideas, we can get to that in a minute. But if anybody is interested now and wants to say something, let us know. Or know someone who might be interested.
I did put out a call to the tribes to see if any of the tribal members would be interested. Because I think it would be a great addition to the group. So we'll see if anything comes up.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, well, yeah, again, anytime, reach out to either one of us, and we can kind of get you set up with what it's like, what kind of a work lift it is, and all that jazz. Okay, so as always, every time we always talk about all the resources on the Google Drive. So I'll just really quick switch up that one, this one. Oh, sorry, this one. Too many tabs open. So everyone should have access to this. It's open to everybody that has a link to it. So in here is all of our stuff, the charter, the equity work group meetings, goals and projects, the resources, templates, different presentations, website stuff when we were working on that. So everything is open to everyone. You can all see it here. Some stuff is on the website, which is actually one of the other things we're going to mention, is that the website has been updated. That's been something we've been working on for a while, and the state board has been working on. It's much snazzier now. So I'll actually go to that really quick. And there are quite a few resources on here as well. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was just a little outdated looking before, but now it's looking kind of fancy. So we'll have the meetings up here, and yeah, reach out to me if you're interested. It's listed here too, so you can reach me there. But anyway, you guys can check it out. It's you could get there through the Water Quality Monitoring Council webpage, and it's also linked in the agenda if that's a little easier for you. Okay, so then we always like to give a little bit of time for any of the other work groups, or if any of the council members want to give an update now about anything that they're doing, or anything that's maybe equity related, or something they might need assistance with. So if anybody from any of the other work groups or the council has any items, now is your chance.
I can give just a quick update. My director is Greg Gearhart in OEMA, and he is the co-chair of the council. But he's out, so he sent me here. So just a quick update for people. The next council meeting will be on June 18th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The timing might shift depending on how the agenda shakes out, but the theme for that council meeting is post-fire water quality monitoring and data communications. And for those that have been kind of keeping an eye on the post-fire discussions at the council level, that definitely has an equity lens. Well, everything has an equity lens, as we know as equity practitioners, but post-fire in particular, the council is really trying to engage meaningfully with California Native American tribes and tribal governments as part of the discussions. So if you're interested in that topic, or communicating with data in a way that advances and operationalizes equity, the next council meeting is for you. I'll add a link to the council meeting page to the chat. The registration information hasn't been posted yet, but if you're signed up to the equity work group email list or the council's email list, you'll get a notice when the agenda is posted and it has the registration and everything like that. And as far as the safety work group goes, because of changes in funding, which I can talk about at the item later, we're going from a quarterly schedule to a twice a year schedule and as needed. But the focus of the work group, we're losing a lot of things, and you can look at the March safety work group meeting notes when they're posted. But the things that we are preserving are equity efforts and initiatives. So if you're interested in bioaccumulation, fish consumption, that sort of thing, understanding where it's safe to eat fish and shellfish throughout California, and communicating about those things, we'll still be meeting and pushing things forward. So I will stop there. Thanks.
Thank you, Anna. So anyone else from any of the other work groups have any updates they want to provide? Okay, awesome. There is a link to the next council meeting here too as well. If you have your agenda handy, you can check it out there. So I actually had this on the agenda because I know, Charming, you had some interest and some insight into the post-fire work and was hoping to attend the next council meeting, but I don't know, I thought it was really fascinating what you were telling me about it. So I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit now. I think that would be great.
Sure. So I was one of the evacuees from the Palisades fire when it occurred. And I had been having discussions with the assembly member who represents the area and some, you know, other folks, Department of Public Works, for example. I am also on the task force for the small at-risk water systems for LA County. And during that meeting, one of the things there are two different things that have come up. One is the fact that when we are looking at the people that may be able to rebuild and those who may not, there is a pushback from particularly the people in Altadena from the Eaton fire. That was the Eaton fire. They don't want to sell to developers. So there is a whole effort and a campaign saying we are not going to sell out. So a lot of them are actually selling their land to conservancies to retain the land for open space and to stop gentrification. I had a meeting over there recently, and these numbers kind of really shocked me because the area is predominantly known as an African American or Black area, only to be told that it had dropped down to about 18% African American because of gentrification. And now with the fires, they're expecting that to drop even lower because a lot of people were uninsured and the money they're receiving is a lot less than they can use to build back. Building back will cost like about $800,000. They're only receiving an average of $300,000. So there's a lot of work to be done there in terms of a land back. It's not the Native American land back campaign. I suppose we need another name for it. Buy land back or land to conservancy, but there is this movement. So that's one part of the conversation. The second part of the conversation is at the task force meeting, we did discuss the fires and how small at risk or small, utilities were able to respond to the fires. And one of the things that came out of our discussion was the amount of misinformation that occurred during the fires and how difficult it was to get any kind of information out, good information, correct information out to the public. And so somebody suggested, well, what about the Watch Duty app? Because even when you tuned into the news, everyone said, look at the Watch Duty app if you want up-to-date announcements of where the fires are, who needs to evacuate, etc. And it just so happened that my day job, the CEO, I work with a private company, the CEO of the company, his son actually co-wrote the Watch Duty app. And so I was able to set up a meeting between Department of Public Works and the UCLA Lushkin Center and the folks from the Watch Duty app to add in layers to that app so that utilities, water agencies can use that app because that was the trustworthy source, can use that app to push notices forward, whether it is a boil notice, whether it's an evacuation notice, whether it's testing your water, but to use that app moving forward for notifications, since that seems to be the trusted source right now. So that's the update.
Thank you, Charming. I think that's so cool and so interesting because agreed, I know I had friends who were evacuated as well, and there was a lot of confusion and misinformation about whether their water was safe to drink and if they needed to go buy bottled water or whatever it was. And I was trying to help them, and I was seeing things on the news that was incorrect when I actually looked it up. And so I think that would be just amazing, because I know that was one of the issues that we're going to be talking about at the monitoring council meeting, is how to get that information out to folks. I don't know if anybody else had any other thoughts or questions for Charming.
Yeah, so even if you have an idea of maybe, maybe you think the app can be doing something else, I am open to it, and I can introduce Lucas to anyone who needs to be. So maybe, that can be the app moving forward, the trustworthy space, instead of everyone just going on social media and typing in whatever they want and sowing confusion, because that's
Yeah,
really what it was.
absolutely. Yeah. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. And then I think hopefully we can get an item about that at the next council meeting too. Okay. So next thing was the charter update. And so I have this version isn't quite on the Google yet, the Google Drive. This is just the version. First thing I realized, it was outdated enough that it still had the Jedi moniker in here everywhere. So I updated that and didn't really update too much else. But like I said, I really just kind of wanted to focus on sort of the coach part.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Vicki. Are we meant to be seeing what the charter? Are you?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you not seeing it?
We don't see it. We just see the agenda still.
Thank you. I thought I had it sharing just the whole. There we go. Let's try this. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay. Gosh, thank you. I thought I had it set up so it just shared my screen all the time. Thank you. Just talking to myself over here. Maybe you guys can't see. Okay. So yeah, so this version, this red line strikeout version isn't up on the Google Drive yet, but I will put it up later today so everybody can see it. And there hasn't been much, like I said, that I've really updated. And so far, it's really just changing the Jedi moniker to equity, just a couple of little updates. So if you guys want to take a look at it, I think it was based on some of the other work groups charters, because I think we were formed a little bit later than some of the other ones. So anyway, it just kind of talks about the need, what the objectives are, and I think all this, is still totally relevant. But if anybody has any ideas, I'm not going to make y'all sit here and go through this together, this whole thing. I really just want to talk about the co-chair part, like I said. But it does just sort of have responsibilities, expectations, potential for subcommittees, all that jazz, responsibilities. Let me just scroll down. I'm trying to go a little slower so everybody doesn't get dizzy. I always get dizzy when people are scrolling through things if you're not doing the scrolling. Anyways, okay, so this is the part I highlighted earlier. And we can change this to whatever we want. I know when I was talking about this with Peter Vroom, who's sort of our liaison, he was saying we could have as many co-chairs as we want. We can do whatever we want. We can make any updates. And, for right now, we just have the 2 co-chairs. And then, it just doesn't really say too much about how to, select one, how to decide, if there's any criteria people want to have in here. When I was looking for criteria before, I just kind of made, worked some out with Peter. I think it was they have to live in California, have some background in either water quality or monitoring, and have, some background in DEI, preferably, of course, because that's really what all this is about. So we want, everyone who comes to these are well-meaning, but we want to have someone that has some experience at least. So this is pretty much it. I don't know if any, Anna or anyone else from any of the other work groups, if you guys have a process for electing co-chairs that you could share, or any other ideas, or if this is good enough, or I don't know.
For the safety work group, our co-chairs have been folks that are directly tied to the swamp bioaccumulation monitoring program. So there's like funding attached to those positions. I think keeping the requirements for co-chairs as general as possible is better. I like, you know, what you articulated, but just acknowledging that, as we all know, especially in the equity space, folks are really busy. The council does not have any funding mechanisms to compensate co-chairs for their time. So it's a voluntary position. It's, you know, it's not a full-time job, but it's nothing to sneeze at. You like there's work to be done, right? So lowering the barrier for folks to be able to step into that role, I think is great. And it's really a matter of whatever this work group thinks is pertinent and relevant. And so I think, you know, articulating what you just shared with us, Vicki, would be a great idea as desired qualifications, but maybe they're not requirements or something like that. Yeah, it's a great idea, I think.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Anna. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I know you're a co-chair of another group, so I knew you might have some insight. Did anybody else have any insight or any other ideas? Again, I kept it really general, and I just kind of had conversations with people, and then the people who were available were kind of the ones that we brought forward to the group. And I think what I'll do then, to your point, Anna, is I'll just kind of add a couple sentences or bullet points or something to this part, and I'll just share it with everyone. And if anyone has anything they think they'd like to add, or, you know, Charming, if you have any thoughts too, of course, just we can put notes in here. It'll be in the Google Doc, so anybody can access it and, you know, put questions or comments or anything in there. I hate to put people on the spot. I know, you know, you're not looking at the whole thing unless you guys have it open as well, but yeah, Chris, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was just gonna say from my perspective, from the California Environmental Flows Work Group, we did keep it more general. I agree with Anna, and kind of left it open to be a little bit more flexible if we needed it to be. And so I think if things change, it's okay. But it's always good to have some flexibility, but also try to keep to what you put in here. But I think things can change. But I also agree it would be nice to have those qualifications, but maybe people want to come into the role without those, but learn and also like help, and they have the time and capacity. And I think that would be great too for people to see.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. I mean, that would be nice, but yeah, and I know it is hard because it is voluntary and everybody is so busy. And I don't know about, you know, you guys, but funding cuts and issues, like we have less staff than we need, you know, where I work. And so it's tough to find the time to do some of these types of things. So totally agree. I mean, this isn't a huge lift, but there is work involved for sure. So you know, prep meetings and coming up with agenda items and looking for speakers or topics, or, you know, preparing presentations or whatever it is. There is some work involved in this. Okay, wonderful.
And then, sorry, one other thing that helped with the eFlows work group is that we also have a smaller subgroup that meets more frequently, and it's like our technical team, and it could be another subgroup of people that are willing to kind of meet more frequently to help with thinking about agenda items and key topics or challenges that are coming up, to kind of help brainstorm with and take off some of the load from the chairs or the co-chairs.
That's a really good point. And there is something, I think it's a little bit higher up about subcommittees in here as well. So I think that's a really good point. We could always have a smaller group if people are interested. I know I'm always I don't want to say bugging, but I'm I'm like sometimes meeting with, you know, Peter before Nick as well. And now, you know, I know Greg is in Nick's role for now until they hire somebody to replace him from the council. So that's a really good idea. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. I can add something like that in here too. And again, I feel like a lot of these things are just sort of like living documents, you know, so we can always update it later if something else comes up or it's not serving us the way we'd like it to. Okay, so let me see if I can switch back to where I was, and hopefully you guys can you guys see the agenda again, or do I need to change it again?
You need to change it.
Dang it. All right, let's see if I can, let me stop sharing and then share again. Why I really struggle with Zoom. I just don't know. I think I'd have it figured out by now.
You're doing great, Vicki. It's confirmation that a human is leading this meeting. Tech issues.
Thank you. All right. All right. Okay. So the next item we had is actually Anna was going to give us an update on how the state board is handling changes with the federal and the presidential administration and how that's really affecting a lot of DEI programs or everywhere. So I'll actually stop sharing so we can see you better. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, so when Vicki reached out, she wanted an update on how the state is responding to the actions by the federal administration. I can't speak for the state of California. I don't know enough, even if I wanted to. And I can, you know, barely even speak for the water board the water boards as a whole. But from OEMA's perspective, the things that I'm keeping in mind as the Open Data Science Equity and Tribal Coordinator for our office, there's a couple of things that we've heard in this space and many others. Funding changes are a thing that are happening. The specifics of what that looks like and how that will impact, well, the council doesn't have any funding to begin with, so there's no impacts there, but our ability as the State Water Board to support council initiatives through staff and funding and things like that might be looking different. I don't know the specifics. I personally am really looking forward to the California May revise because that's, I think, gonna shine a lot of light on what our funding situation will look like from a more detailed perspective. I don't know when that's coming, but it's May, so I'm hoping soon.
Oh boy. Okay.
And that's when a lot of, I think, budgetary decisions will be public. So we'll be able to really see like the line items of how things have changed. And that may or may not be related to the federal funding decisions, right? It just, the state budget is the state budget. In terms of the State Water Board's commitment to equity and operationalizing equity in all of the work we do, that remains firm. And there's, I think, a stronger commitment now. I will add a bunch of links to the chat, but on March 4th, the State Water Board received an informational item from all State Board offices and divisions through about the Racial Equity Action Plan annual update. So in 2019, there was a 17, there was a racial equity resolution, there was an action plan that came a couple of years later, and I'll add links to all of these in the chat so that Vicki, if you want to add them to the notes or whatever later too, that's welcome. And I highly recommend folks check out that agenda item. I rewatched it this morning, and Chair Esquivel expressed, and all of the board members really expressed their appreciation and confirmation of our commitment to equity and equity work. I think I'm looking at the quote that I wrote. Chair Esquivel said, you know, our equity initiatives and commitment to racial equity in particular is really just a recommitment of our values, and it's a reflection of what was happening 50 years ago when the Clean Water Act was initiated, and it was happening around the same time as the Civil Rights Act. And a lot has changed, a lot has improved in terms of water quality, but we still have injustice and inequity in the world, and the State Water Board and the water boards as a whole are really trying to do our part to rectify that in the ways that we can. Something that I'm thinking about too is, particularly as a tribal coordinator, it's my job to support and partner with the close to 200 tribes in California in a way that makes sense and is helpful and supportive to them. But also the communities that have been the target of oppression and have been experiencing oppression and injustice. They've got a lot on their mind. There's particularly right now in this moment. And so from my, state board government wonk hat, which I say it's a term of endearment for me, I'm thinking about what it looks like to support and partner with communities and tribes in a way that's not burdensome, and acknowledging that their priorities might be shifting to literally, as you mentioned, Charming, rebuilding homes or their physical safety, right? And so thinking about data is not a top priority. So from our perspective in OWEMA, we're thinking about how can we create tools and resources incorporating feedback and partnership and lessons that we've received from communities and tribal partners that we have in the past, welcoming folks to join us in partnership, again, when it makes sense for them, but pushing forward our efforts in any way that we can, so that we're still doing the work, in OWEMA. And me personally, I think of the late great Senator John Lewis quote about causing good trouble. That's, I feel like that as a public servant, that is my job right now. So from the council perspective, again, I can't speak for the council, but Greg Gearhart, the director, is co-chair, thinking about these topics, thinking about how we can really leverage the power and wisdom of this work group to inform the other work groups, to hold space for discussion and brainstorming about how can we serve California better in the water quality monitoring space. We'll really be looking to you all for that guidance in partnership with you. And, the discussion, we can't really talk about equity work without thinking about funding. And that's a challenge that we have right now, like mechanism wise from the government perspective. And so I think that's a discussion that will be had at the council level. And so if folks have ideas, I'm sure the council will welcome your wisdom and expertise and thoughts on that. And now I feel like I'm rambling, so I'm going to pause there. But if I missed something, Vicki, from our previous discussion,
I don't think so. I think you nailed it. Yeah. Does anybody else have any other thoughts on that or concerns or anything? There is a web page that I think, Anna, you're going to put in the chat. That's the State Water Board. It's just called Racial Equity at the Water Boards, and there's a whole lot of great resources in there, and the action plan, the Racial Equity Action Plan is there in the annual update. I don't think the presentation for the board item is up here, but I'm sure we can find that too and post that if you guys would like to see it. But yeah, the plan is still up, and clearly from what I'm hearing from board staff and board members is it's still full steam ahead with racial equity with the state water boards anyway. Charming, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Anna, whether, I don't know if to say ask, but um, there was a statement that came out from Restore the Delta about a memo being passed around agencies. This one was leaked, I think, from the EPA about ICE being present at public meetings where people are making public comment. Do you have any information or any insight on that? And, how is the water board going to address that? So that's one question. And the second thing was, again, the fires, with the LA Times doing a report saying that the ground, because FEMA, didn't test, and the EPA is not testing after cleanup, that there is a lot of arsenic and lead contamination in the fire zone. So, any insight on any of these topics?
Oh, I hate it when I have to give this type of answer. I don't know enough to give an answer that is satisfactory, unfortunately. I have heard about the report on ICE that you've mentioned, and I haven't seen that memo personally, but I anticipate it's at a higher level than mine. I do know we've been having conversations about how do we continue to have public meetings and conduct public engagement, whatever that might look like, in a way that's welcoming, open, inclusive, and kind. The specifics regarding ICE haven't been, to my knowledge, have not been addressed in a way that's, I think, what you and many others are looking for, unfortunately. And then as far as the arsenic and lead post-fire, I don't know the specifics of the LA fire. I am sure there are people that do. And if there are other water boards folks on the call that know more information, I welcome you to speak up. But, those sorts of concerns are exactly what the Water Quality Monitoring Council is supposed to help inform folks. And I anticipate that exact question is something that should be brought up. Maybe will be already a plan for discussion during the June council meeting. Again,
Yes, I think
it's a very hand-wavy government answer. I'm so sorry. I hate to have to
No,
give those,
no,
but that's the information that I have.
no, that's okay. As a volunteer myself and as an immigrant, particularly for people of color, when you
Mhm.
think about the BIPOC community, these are the folks, usually they will turn up for public comment, especially if it is, within a time they can show up. And so as a leader within Sierra Club, my concern is, are we putting people at risk?
Yeah.
And so, like you said, of course, we want to participate in the processes. However, are we putting people at risk? What does that risk look like? What
Mm.
are the agencies cooperating? So that definitely is something big. And I will send you, I will put in the chat the memo, because it was leaked, and Restore the Delta put out a press release about it. So I will put it in the chat along with a link to the LA Times article, but LA Times does have a paywall. So I will, when we send out the minutes, I can do a PDF and send it out to everyone as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and from like the engagement and the type of things that I'm trying to do with my work, even before the change in the administration at the federal level, I'm really thinking about how can we make it easier for everyone, and particularly BIPOC communities, to engage in a way that's comfortable for them. So even if folks have the time off work, maybe they don't want to be in person because they have childcare concerns or family matters, right? So really thinking about the meetings and things that I have authority over, of creating multiple avenues of participation and engagement. And I think that is something that from like the environmental justice groups at the water boards and the equity groups at the water boards that I participate in, that is something that we have been thinking about for a very long time. And we're trying to improve and scale our ability to create ways for all communities to engage and participate meaningfully in ways that are comfortable for them, from particularly now as physical safety is at risk.
Yeah. And Charming, yesterday at the board meeting, there was a short discussion about that memo at the very beginning, and I put a link in the chat to the video, the whole meeting. I didn't get to catch all of it, but I know a couple of people during public comment brought it up, and there was a discussion with the board chair and I think some board staff. I was kind of doing other, I was listening to it, so I didn't catch the whole thing, but I am actually rewatching that whole thing today because I actually have to pay attention to the workshop later in the day. So I did put a link in the chat so you can check it out. And I was actually wondering what they were talking about. I was like, what memo are you talking about? So thanks for putting that in there so I can check it out myself, because I wasn't familiar with it. So there was a little bit of a discussion there. And again, it's right. I think it's going to keep coming up at the board hearings, and, encourage people to, come on via Zoom if they feel comfortable doing that, to voice their concerns about it. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And I appreciate your response.
Well, and just to add to that, I also want to acknowledge that we need to do more than just provide hybrid options. Like, not everyone has access to the internet, right? Not everyone can use Zoom. So like, it's not an easy solution. Like, we're going to need many solutions to solve the problem. And it's something that I am comfortable saying that we're working through, and we're trying to figure it out. And I have confidence in our board in terms of their commitment to equity, from what I've heard in public spaces and in private conversations with particularly Chair Esquivel, that they will continue to push the water boards, regions, divisions, and offices to figure out a solution in a way that operationalizes equity, inclusion, and belonging. I don't know what the timeline is on that. I can't speak to that, but I know we are committed as an organization to this, and I hope that we can find solutions soon.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any thoughts about any of that or questions? Okay. We just have a couple little things left, and we'll wrap it up. So the next thing is what we ask every time is if anyone has any ideas, wants to speak at a next meeting, has a good topic or any topic, or there's something that they want to hear, any particular group they'd like to hear from, what do you all want out of this group? So then I just kind of open it up for discussion if anybody has any ideas or thoughts, because the whole idea of this group is to be helpful to the other work groups, but also to provide this kind of open forum for these sorts of discussions as well. And you don't have to have an idea right now. You can always email us later or give us a call or whatever.
I'm already getting tired of my own voice. Sorry, y'all. I just want to acknowledge and express my gratitude for this work group. Equity work is difficult. Some of us are joining the movement recently. Some of us have been part of the movement for generations and centuries. And it's always been hard, and it will continue to be hard. And it's easy to, I think, get disheartened because we don't have hundreds of people attending our meetings, or we're not seeing things change as quickly as we'd like. That's from my perspective, that's part of the work. But I just want to empower this work group and encourage y'all to keep asking the really difficult questions. Keep putting our feet to the fire from the council perspective, from the government perspective. This is how change happens. And this is a small but mighty work group that can really, I think, affect change and help the council change the way we think and how we work. And so I just want to plant that seed if it already hasn't been planted, because I think you all have potential to have more influence on how the council works, and by extension, how the water boards works. It'll take some time, but please, as a public servant, as a citizen, as a racial equity and data practitioner, I encourage you to use that platform and for good. And yeah, I just wanted to start that. So I'll stop talking for the
No, you don't need to.
umpteenth time. But the work is important, and this work group is really critical. And the thoughts and ideas that people have, the topics that you want to discuss, are also valuable. So keep on keeping on. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Anna.
Well said. I agree with what you've said, Anna. And as someone who's been a volunteer in the space, one of the titles I didn't mention is that I'm also the vice chair of the Environmental and Social Justice Committee. And so, like you, I work on social justice issues and I work with the tribes. And I'm going to say to everyone here what I say to anyone coming into our water committee. We are the tortoise, we are not the hare. Slow and steady we go. That is how we win campaigns. That is what we
Yes.
do. So if you're expecting, a quick dash, it never ever happens to be a quick dash. It's always slow and steady, and you're going to be disappointed, and you have to dust your shoulders off. And I say to everyone, have a 15-minute pity party, cry it out, and get back on your feet. But I grew up riding horses, so it's easy for me to say. But I agree with what you said, Anna, and I do think that we can have an impact. And so, if I would ask anything of you, Anna, is also to put out the word to the tribal groups that you work with or the EJ groups to ask if they would like to co-chair, because I think it's extremely important that we have these voices on this working group,
Mhm.
because the long term there is influence. That is the one thing I have learned as an activist, as an advocate, that I have been able to influence things over the last 20 years, and a huge influence, right? And so it's not going to happen overnight, but it does happen. So I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%.
And I can commit as a tribal coordinator. I for the State Water Board, I have access to the Tribal Matters email list. And so if you and Vicky can put a little email ask together about the co-chair, send that to me, and I'll try and get that out as soon as I can to
Thank you.
access the many hundreds, if not thousands, of people that sign up for that list. So let's happy to
Wonderful.
help spread the word, and that's something that I can an action I can take.
Oh, thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Anna.
Thank you.
We can definitely do that. And actually, Anna, that reminded me something I should have said earlier is I know sometimes the topics here can be uncomfortable for people, so we just want to make sure everyone always feels free and comfortable to say whatever it is they need to say or ask the uncomfortable questions. I mean, obviously being respectful always, but this is a safe space for people to ask uncomfortable questions, and no judgment zone as long as you're respectful. But that's like the whole point of this group, and want to make sure people feel really comfortable here. And yeah, this can be uncomfortable for people sometimes, but that's why we're here. So awesome.
I had a potential topic for the next meeting. So I got contacted by a researcher at UCI, the Water UCI research team. They're doing a project it's called IDEAL. So it's Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Advancement in Leadership. And they're trying to promote DEI in the water workforce in California. So they sent me a link. They're doing about a 15-minute anonymous survey to anyone who's working in the field of water. So I think the survey ends May 19th. So I can send people the contact information if you're interested in taking the survey and getting more information. But her name is Miriam Rama McCain. So I'll put her email there. She might be a person that would want to give a presentation to this work group on their initiative and maybe an update on some of their findings.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that topic. And I know the National Monitoring Council was looking at things like that as well, trying to get more diversity in, sort of the water monitoring world. That isn't always so diverse, So that's wonderful. Thank you. Great. Appreciate that. And again, like I said, you don't have to have anything now, but if anything comes up in the next couple of months, definitely send them out to us. Okay, so is there any other open discussion anyone has or thoughts?
I was just thinking, to build on what Chris said, should we have someone maybe to talk about jobs in water? Or how people can get accredited. This was something I had an article on our website last year, but I think it might be good if we could get someone to speak about that and to speak about accreditation, because people usually think you have to go to college and get a degree and a master's degree for you to get a decent job in water, when really and truly that is not true. You could go to a technical college and get certification and still be making over $100,000 a year. And so maybe we should think about that and add that onto our list.
That's a great idea. I just jotted that down. Thank you. If anybody has any insight, I certainly am not an expert on. I sort of landed in the stormwater world accidentally. So, so I'm probably not the right person to ask, but somebody else here probably is, who actually has their water credentials and their certifications and all that jazz. That would be wonderful. All right, great. Well, the next meeting is scheduled for August 6th, same time. So we do quarterly, sort of on an offset month. We started thinking doing in January, but it ended up not working out with holidays. So it's supposed to be the first Wednesday quarterly, February on. So the next one will be in August 6th at 9 a.m. On the agenda that you guys all have, there's a registration link there as well. Oh, thank you, Anna, for putting that in the chat. Appreciate that. And then we'll get all the information from the chat. We'll work on the meeting minutes and put those up on the Google Drive. And then Anna, does that stuff need to go on the website too? Or do we post the meeting, like the Zoom meeting? I don't remember.
The recording?
Yeah, the recording. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I will process that as soon as we're done. And I will get it posted on the council's YouTube, and I'll also submit a request to get the recording linked on your meetings page.
Okay, great.
And I'll send an email announcement to the Equity Workgroup email list as soon as it's available on YouTube, hopefully
Awesome.
by like tomorrow, if not today, but definitely by the end of this week. It might take another couple of days for it to show up on the website, but yeah, I'll send an email out as soon as the recording
Wonderful.
ready to
Thank
share.
you. Thank you so much. And if you wouldn't mind sending me the chat info, so I can add that.
Sure,
I
absolutely.
think would always send me that, yeah, so I could.
Yeah, me as well, because there are so many links in there.
Yeah, good links. And thank you, Tim. I see your chat about baywork.org. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you want to reach out to them, see if they're able to chat, that would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And so
Sounds
if
great.
you get someone for the north, I can get someone for the south.
That sounds
Very
good. Yeah, they're a great organization. Yeah, but yeah, I'll reach out to see if I know anyone still working with them.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that so much. Awesome. Great. Well, now we're wrapping up a little bit early. So thank you all so much for coming and participating and all the great ideas. And Anna, I know we put you a little bit on the spot, and thanks for your update for the state. I know you're not speaking for the whole state, but appreciate appreciate the insight that you did have. And yeah, if y'all are interested in checking out the board meeting from yesterday morning, the very first part, just the first like hour or so, has the that public comment I was mentioning. If you guys are interested in hearing more about that, memo that I'm gonna, thanks Charming for sending that, because I was curious about what that was about, so. Awesome. Well, wonderful. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you. And if you can make it to the Monitoring Council meeting in June, it sounds like that'll be a great topic that is very related to our group, and then the next meeting in August. So thanks so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Feel better, Vicky.